South Asia now, as Bangladesh heads to the polls. One of the largest refugee populations in the world will be watching from behind fences and flood-prone hillsides with no vote, no voice, and very little expectations of change. Nearly 1 million Rohingya refugees remain confined to camps in Cox's Bazar years and years after fleeing ethnic cleansing in Myanmar. Successive Bangladeshi governments have framed the crisis as temporary, but yet the reality on the ground paints a very, very different story. The reality on the ground has become one of protracted displacement, shrinking aid because of the United States and US aid and the restrictions that have been placed in that aspect. And also, tighter restrictions and growing frustrations, especially as the elections approaches. There have been many reports that for many Rohingya people, this election means little to nothing because, well, regardless of who wins, the legal status, the freedom of movement, and prospects for repatriation remain unchanged. And to help us understand what this moment really means and feels like inside the camps in Cox's Bazar, beyond the policy and statements and campaign rhetoric that we see making the rounds, we are joined by Yassin Abdumonab, who's speaking to us from Cox's Bazar. He's a humanitarian, journalist, storyteller, and researcher, and a social activist for the Rohingya people. Brother Yassin, good morning. Hope you can hear me. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you all?
I'm well. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to talk on Rohingya crisis right now. So,
yes, go ahead.
Yes, I was asked to talk about the election in Bangladesh. So, what about the Rohingya future and about the repatriation? So for me, in Bangladesh, there are more than 1 million Rohingya refugee right now. So Rohingya refugee in Bangladesh numbering over 1 million, facing a life of uncertainty with limited access to education, healthcare, and livelihood. And it is difficult to host more than 1 million refugees for Bangladesh right now. As now the country approached its general election, so there are so many, so many preparation is going on right now. Also, there was the announcement for the refugees not to move out of the camp because the election is getting very close right now. So right now the refugees are inside the camp. They are not moving anywhere. So they are not going anywhere right now. They stay inside the camp. They live inside the camp. So despite being granted shelter by Bangladesh government after fleeing persecution in Myanmar, refugees are once, uh, just to stay inside right in this situation because the election is getting closer day by day. So, according to the article you mentioned, you shared with me, that was published by Al Jazeera. So, no expectation for me. Any parties come here in Bangladesh, any parties comes, there should be the proper repatriation. From my perspective, from my understanding, there should be proper repatriation in future. If any parties come to govern this Bangladesh, so I hope and pray that there will be fair repatriation in future for especially for refugees, for Rohingya refugees. More than 1 million refugees are currently residing in the world largest refugee camp. There is no future. There is no education. There is no healthcare. Yes, I know the world know there is the education, there is the healthcare, but it's very limited. It's very limited access. We want to go home. We want to live peacefully in our own country. So that's why we Rohingya want the the repatriation. So I hope there will be fair repatriation in future. If any parties come to um, come to win this election in future. So challenges, there are many challenges we face right now. Is like funding cuts to it, deteriorating life, living condition, and a growing number of refugees attempting uh, dangerous journey to escape Bangladesh, facing further risks and hostility. So yes, after the mass exodus of Rohingya people from Myanmar, the crisis stands as one of the clearest example of the global failure of justice. For now, although Myanmar is bonded by the Geneva Convention, customary international humanitarian law norms, and the Genocide Convention of 1948, the Rohingya people are still deprived of justice, safety, and be able path to return home. The problem, therefore, lies not in the absence of legal rules, but in the absence of principal enforcement. So, from my side, in short, if I say there is any government come, but the repatriation should happen, in future, because it's very difficult for Bangladesh government to host more than 1 million refugees in these small areas. So, I think there should be, fair repatriation in future if any, parties win, and then they will have proper responsibility to give us proper safety, security, and food, everything what we need where we live right now. But from my side and the Rohingya community side, there should be proper repatriation in future. Thank you very much.
I wanna stick on that point that you're making, repatriation, because it looks like Bangladesh in itself continues to frame repatriation to Myanmar as the ultimate solution. They also admitting that they are unable to handle a population of over 1 million Rohingya refugees. But yet the conditions there in Myanmar remain quite unsafe. From a refugee's perspective, does repatriation still feel realistic? Do you think you'd be safe once repatriated back home, or there's still a lot of danger that could be awaiting on the other side?
I think as a refugee, I think it's not safe for us to go back to home because there are so many conflict going on right now between the military junta and the Arkan army. Totally, the Rakhine state is not safe at all right now. There are always war going on between the military junta and the Arkan army. So there is no one safe. The civil population is not safe there. Either the Rakhine community, Muslim community, Hindu community, and other minorities that are living in Rakhine state right now. There is no one safe right now. If the repatriation happen, but everyone will be in danger again because the situation of Rakhine state is very bad right now. The civil war is going on. The Arkan army is controlling all of the areas in northern Rakhine state, and also there is no safe zone for the Rohingya right now. Not only for the Rohingya, but also for other minorities, and also everyone is facing, everyone is fearing to go back right now because the situation is very unstable right now there. So for me as a refugee, I think as far as the situation in the kind of states will be stable for us. There should be a safe zone. There should be safety should be there. I think it will be better if this repatriation happen.
I want to chat a bit about security and restrictions that have been put in place by the Bangladeshi government because they're heading over to the elections. You touched on it briefly that the camps have been increasingly securitized with little movement, with little restrictions. There's a lot of surveillance and fencing that has been happening. How has this affected the dignity? How has this affected mental health? And just the general sense of future among Rohingya refugees, the camps right now, and how are they? What does that look like?
Actually, the camp is, you can know it as one of the largest refugee camp across the world. Rohingya crisis, one of the largest crises across the world. So far, I know all of the world's, world community know this. One of the largest crises is the Rohingya community one. So we have been living, more than 8 years in the world largest refugee camp, where the situation is very vulnerable. There is the health issue, there is the fund crisis, there is the education crisis going on. Also, there are so no livelihood for the refugees. We Rohingya are living in very crowded and congested areas where people face, a lot of issues in their daily life. So, living more than 8 years in a very small place is not, a way of human how people survive there. So people are facing a lot of challenges to make their living, and then they are to make their you know li- to make their living in a dignified life. So for me as a refugee, people are facing a lot of challenges to survive, and then no one want to live here anymore as refugees. Crisis is not ending. There is no ending, solution for refugees for now. So everyone's hope, everyone's pray to Almighty to go back home. But there is also restriction for the refugees because the situation in Rakhine State is very bad right now. There is no, a stable situation. There are always civil wars going on between the military junta, the Arkan army, and then no one is safe right now. Also, everyone is willing to go back home, but there is no solution because the crisis is going, worse day by day, day by day. So I hope there will be, no solution in future as well for the refugees, because the crisis is, increasing. It's not decreasing. The world still failed to solve the Rohingya crisis.
Mm, mm. And lastly, before I let you go, Brother Yassin, if you have one message to the rest of the world, the people in Europe, the people in the US, the people in Africa who are watching and listening about the crisis that the Rohingya refugees are facing right now, and the Bangladeshi elections, what would that message be? A message to the world and everyone that's listening currently.
So my last message to the world is that Rohingya crisis is one of the largest crises across the world. So please don't forget us. Please, stand with us all the time. And then we are very thankful to the world community to take care of us all the time. But it's not enough. We want to go home. We want a sustainable solution. We want, the solution that uh, will not happen again. So all of the refugees from the Rohingya camp want to go home with, dignified return, safety, security, and also we want, a dignified life uh, in refugee camp.
No, Brother Yassin, thank you so much for chatting to us. I really, really appreciate you giving us your time. Bye for now.
Thank you. Thank you.
Going to take a quick break. News and views continues after this.